Look at the background. A pristine, golden-domed mosque towers over the capital. Now look at the foreground. Rusty, dilapidated houses sit precariously on stilts. Brunei is an incredibly wealthy absolute monarchy, fueled by massive reserves of offshore oil. It boasts one of the highest per capita incomes in the world. Yet right beside its wealthiest mainland districts lies Kampung Ayer. 13,000 people live in this sprawling labyrinth of aging stilt houses, hovering directly over the Brunei River. This animated map illustrates what geographers call urban morphology, the idea that city layouts are physical maps of invisible political and social forces. Notice how a rigid, geometric grid on land aggressively pushes against a fluid, interconnected network over the water. This visual friction marks the boundary where top-down modernization meets traditional identity. The physical state of these villages reflects how the state's specific priorities have reshaped the landscape. Prior to European colonialism reaching Southeast Asia, Kampung Ayer stood as the thriving, powerful capital of a vast regional empire. Its architecture was an elegant ecological adaptation. Using local palm leaves and lightweight bamboo, residents built homes that could easily be repaired, traded from, and defended from naval threats. This fluid layout over the water forced people to rely on each other. Neighbors shared resources, traded goods from boat to boat, and built a decentralized society based heavily on community mutual aid. Early Brunei drew its entire political and economic strength directly from this organic connection to the river network. Then came the 20th century oil boom. Extracting fossil fuels required deep water platforms and land-based refineries, shifting the nation's economic engine permanently onto dry land. With this sudden influx of wealth, Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah began projecting the ideology of the Malay Islamic monarchy through what scholars call sovereign spectacles. The state poured its oil revenue into massive top-down monuments. Imposing geometric public spaces were carved into the mainland to physicalize this absolute, centralized authority. To solidify this control, the government launched the national housing programs. They actively pulled citizens off the water, relocating them into uniform, highly regulated mainland suburbs. But there is a severe geographic constraint to this expansion. This pie chart visualizes Brunei's total landmass, and it reveals an extreme bottleneck. Only 5% of the entire nation is actually developable. Watch as that tiny slice of land extrudes upwards. Because of extreme land scarcity, the state is now abandoning traditional single-family homes. Planners are engineering dense, vertical high-rise apartments to pack more people into the usable area. This mainland architecture functions as an ideological tool. It actively overwrites the decentralized, organic water culture with top-down, state-engineered efficiency. Back on the water, the effects of this migration are highly visible. Left behind by the economic shift, Kampung Ayer is physically deteriorating, struggling with rotting structural foundations and the continuous dumping of raw sewage into the river. The demographics have drained away too. The traditional craftsmen who once maintained the complex wooden structures have largely abandoned the village to take lucrative jobs in the mainland oil industry. As the original families leave, foreign migrants move in to fill the void, seeking cheap rent and further altering the traditional social fabric of the settlement. The remaining original residents now experience what researchers call affective marginalization. They feel increasingly isolated, stigmatized, and shamed by the wealthier land-dwelling population looking down from the shoreline. The decay within Kampung Ayer mirrors the migration of wealth to the mainland. As the state focused its resources on land, the water city's structural fabric simply lost the support it needed to survive. Despite this reality, the state maintains a very different public relations narrative. Tourism boards actively promote Kampung Ayer as a pristine, romantic Venice of the East. That sanitized, museum-like facade completely masks the lived reality of the community. Behind the tourist galleries, these residents are actively losing their autonomy, their resources, and their historic way of life. By engineering space primarily to project authority, the state has effectively reduced an organic community to a curated artifact. Preserving a culture requires keeping the economic and social forces that give it life intact. Once those forces are stripped away, you aren't saving a society, you're just keeping the buildings on life support.